Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to the inaugural season of Sim Racers Group Formula 3 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner, Charles Boshell, and our producer, Mike Braun. And as 2025 Season 3 reaches its conclusion, the Week 12 finale finds us at Road America. Located outside the picturesque village of Elkhart Lake in the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin. Racing started here in the early 1950s as Elkhart Lake was host to annual sports car races conducted on ad hoc circuits made up of linked sections of county highways, but safety concerns ended open road racing and led to the construction of Road America back in 1955. And as we approach its 70-year history, Road America plays host to NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and a full slate of amateur track days. Today's configuration is 4 miles, 6.5 clicks, 14 corners. Current record is a 141.874, set way back in 1998 by Alex Zanardi and a Renard kart car. And Charles, tonight we wrap up the inaugural season of SRG Formula 3 at a fast and challenging circuit. So what are your keys to tonight's race?
Yeah, it's going to be a great race tonight. It's a great way to end the season. Draft, obviously, long straightaways, tight corners. The draft should play a pretty pivotal role in tonight's race. Slow in, fast out sounds dirty, but it's not. Basically, you're just wanting to ease your way in. You want to get really good. You want to concentrate on the corner exits. You want to maximize your pace down the straightaways to get ready for that next set of corners. And then finally, tire wear could play a major role. Obviously, high-speed track with lots of tight cornering, which means you're going to get a lot more tire wear tonight. So that we may see that showing up somewhere in the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, we have been seeing tire wear rear its head, and I'll tell you, it's not just the hard braking into some of these low speed corners and accelerating on them. It's that long grinding carousel, which is absolutely brutal on these things. You can reduce the pressure on the front tires by trail braking in a lot of these corners, but here we see Eggert going through the carousel right now. Really no way to trail brake there, and you find yourself kind of riding that understeer all the way through that corner, and we get close to the end of a 25-minute session out here. Those front tires will start to feel the pain. They'll start to wash out of the slower corners, and the understeer will increase. So taking care of those tires and not howling them up too bad on the carousel is definitely going to be a big part of this one. So as practice winds down here, we got about 4 minutes left, and Vickeroy, the man to beat currently with a 158.8. He's got Jason Green, Josh Leslie, Poborgi, and Stephen Case up there. Mikovits not far behind. And as we look up and down our timing tower, I got a 1 second bracket covering the top 12 cars. So Road America, Charles, is going to be one of those tracks where the entire field has about 10 million laps out here. And it's really going to be trying to separate yourself by picking up 100th here, a 10th there, maybe taking some risks, and we should be in for a good finale here tonight.
Yeah, I think so. And you're right. This is one of those tracks that basically they run every car in iRacing here. So all the way down from Formula V's and Formula 4s all the way up to the, to the fast movers, the GTPs. So, when Road America comes up on the schedule, it's like, hey, that's always one that you could just kind of jump in and kind of get used to the car because you know the track. Really not anything special about this track. It's pretty straightforward as far as there's only one real technical section, and I'm sure we'll see some incidents there, basically coming out of turn 5 through 6. Very difficult braking zone there in 6, up the hill, over the crest, and then into that left-hander, and then two very fast corner in 7, and then that the left-hander that starts you before you get to the carousel, turn 8. That's kind of the most technical part of the track, and it will become difficult, like I said, later on in the race, but we'll see some cars that kind of struggle through there. That's a good way to, if you get that little section nailed down, it's a good way to pick up a couple of tenths on your competition.
And it's a place where you can get caught out if you're trying to push it a little bit too hard there in turn 6. It is a diabolical design. You're coming up the hill from turn 5 and turn left kind of onto a tabletop. So you're rotating the car as the road suddenly levels out. The car gets light when you're trying to trail brake around that corner, and it's kind of reverse camber when you land on the other side. Very, very tough stuff here. And, I had an opportunity to put some laps down on the public servers a little bit earlier. And I'll tell you, Charles, it is stunning what these cars can do out here. It's a great track for these cars. And as a GT3 driver, one of the really stunning things about it is I was reminded of the scene in The Matrix where Neo has to jump across the huge chasm between the tall buildings for the first time. And you have to just kind of have faith and believe it's going to happen, particularly in turn one. You can go so fast through there. You're coming down the hill from start finish in terminal velocity, drop it down into fifth, just brush the brakes, crank the wheel, and hang on. And these cars will go around that corner at a blinding speed, and you just kind of have to have faith that they can do it, but because they can. But super exciting to drive these things out here, and we're definitely going to be seeing some battles out here as we ride along with Bali. We're going down the Moraine Sweep right now, heading towards the downhill section that feeds this difficult turn 5 braking zone. Outside the curb here, as you see Bali going way outside, that is not an off track, that is the line. And here is turn 6 underneath the Corvette bridge. Car lightens up right here, right where you're trying to rotate under braking and put the power on. Such a tough spot, and we're definitely going to be seeing some people having problems there. And we'll stay with Bali here just for a second as he drops down into turn 8. And here's the tire torture section again, that carousel. And there's a number of different lines through here. Probably not going to see side by side. Whoop, that's not the line I wanted, as Bali heads off into the dirt. And one more thing for you GT drivers, we talk about sometimes that kink being causing fear and causing tension. Not in these things, man. They are absolutely flat, no drama, no pressure whatsoever. And if you've been bitten there in a sports car before, it is a pleasure to drive these F3 cars through there, because it is absolutely no problem and nothing to it. They kind of drive themselves through there. But here we go. We're going to get a 15-minute qualifying session going now. And these laps are so long, Charles. Every qualifying lap here is going to count, and we may not see anybody take tires because it takes so long to get around here and start the timer going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's it's a 2-minute lap at pace. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit longer here on your out lap. So you're only going to get maybe 5 or 6 good laps in here. Not taking tires is probably the right strategy. You just got to kind of work and just kind of build that lap pace up just a bit. And you mentioned the carousel, and we'll get to the points in a minute, but it's kind of a double-edged sword there. Is you talk about how much of a tire torturing corner it is, and it's simply because you've got so much downforce, and the faster you go, the more downforce you generate, which means more speed you can carry through that corner, and it just makes the tires that much worse. So it's a battle of aerodynamic grip versus mechanical grip, and it's a very, very difficult balancing act through that corner.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see the lines there. As I said, I was in a practice session on a public server earlier, and it seemed like some drivers, to avoid that long grinding understeer, were kind of diamonding that one off. So they would enter the carousel a little bit wide, kind of breathe the throttle a little bit, get it turned in, and then apply power and accelerate across the second part of it. And that seemed to be a pretty quick way through there. So we'll see what these drivers elect to do with that challenge. But 25 minutes, very tough on these tires, and tire wear is going to be a thing, as we say every week. But let's go ahead and take a look at our season standings. And Stephen Case, with a fairly gaudy lead there, is leading Viceroy in P2, Mikovits in P3. And I should mention, Case has 10 podium appearances out of 11 races and 7 consecutive P1s. So Stephen Case, 100% the class of this field, and I know that he would like nothing better than to finish off tonight's festivities with his 8th consecutive victory and to lock up the championship. And frankly, mathematically, he may have it in the bag already. But anyway, it's Case from Viceroy for Mikovits. Jason Green there, and look at that gap between Mikovits and Viceroy. There could be some movements there potentially. Also between Green and Eggert, that is striking distance. De Silva and Velasco only 1 point apart there in 7 and 8. Same with Lebivi and Josh Corwin, just 3 apart. So there are some battles on that points board there that are going to potentially be decided tonight, and we'll do our best to keep up with that. We got 26 cars, no 36 cars, so that is a lot to keep track of. But if you are a fan of one of those drivers in one of those close competitions, you will be watching that, and go ahead and shoot us a line on our YouTube chat if you want to put your 2 cents in about any of those races. And here are the team standings. Case and K, of course, up top, and they've probably got a lock on that. That is Stephen Case and Dylan. Then Hubi, SRG 6, that is Mikovits and Duvall in P2. Avavoom, Vikaroy, and Neil Dev, they are up 1. So they have been switching positions throughout the season with vibes-based racing. That's Poborji and Conway. And after last week, those 2 traded positions. And then Green Posada has been lingering down there in P5. And they were threatened, I would say, by the Eagles toward the end of the season, but they've had some good performances down the stretch, and they look pretty well locked in. So we may see some movement again between Avavoom and Vibes Base, but the rest of those positions looking pretty solid, and our qualifying times coming in now, and they're already coming in hot. And look at Stephen Case, 159.2, and that is pretty fast with a full fuel load. This old fat guy with poor reflexes, I'm not going to name names, who was out here earlier, but his initials are JR, managed to get into about the mid 159s, and a couple aliens on the track were hitting the low 158. So I'm guessing we're going to see some 158s before this session is over.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It will ramp up as we get a little bit further through the session. We're already 5 minutes in, and we've only got about half the field that set a lap. So it's one of those that I didn't mention it in the keys, but this is kind of tricky that there's not a lot of room for error. If you get off the track, you're going to get that off track, and you're going to invalidate your lap. So it may be another thing that we have to watch out for toward the end of the race. We may see some cars getting some drive-through penalties for off tracks, especially when they're pushing very, very hard. It's real easy to just kind of push wide on some of these corners, and the next thing you know, you're having to drive through because you've got 15X or something like that.
Yeah, it's not a horrible off-track trap, but there are definitely a couple of places where you're flirting with the boundary, and if the red mist is flowing, you're in a battle. Definitely easy to pop a wheel off here. And this qualifying session is going by pretty quickly, and if you've run a race here, you kind of know the anxiety of qualifying here. The lap is so long, you got to fly on your out lap to make sure that you get in all the qualifying laps that you can. But Stephen Case, again, up top, it's Case from Eggert from Poborji, and strike that, Jason Green has just jumped up there. And look at those times. That's a pretty nice looking list. P1 through P7, all in the 159s on their first or second lap. So one thing, Charles, that we've enjoyed watching through this season, this is the first season of F3, and these drivers are kind of getting the hang of these cars. They're improving every week and really seeing it there. I just saw somebody careening in a cloud of grass clippings there. Not sure who that was, but
some more so than others. What you're trying to say?
That's the number 4 car of Molina, and he picks up a little grass and learns that grass is not a traction enhancer, and he's going to pick up a little more here. About halfway through now, and those times dropping. Case with another heater, 159.049. So Case only 49 thousandths off of away from that high 158, and that is probably going to happen before this one's over.
Yep, we're seeing on board here with Jason Green. He's already got 3 green sectors, so he's already improving his lap time, and he's only a half second or so back from Case on pole. So we'll see as he's working his way through if he's going to hit 5 greens, or maybe throw a purple in there as well, and move up a little bit closer to the top. And that was a yellow sector. As soon as I said that, we did have a yellow from Jason, so a little bit off of the pace. Ooh, that was a squirrely coming out of Canada corner there, but manages to get it corrected. Probably cost him a 10th or so as he was working his way through. And as you see, another yellow sector there, coming down to the start-finish line. Obviously, you see no cars in front of him, so he's not getting the benefit of the draft at all. So this is just on his raw pace. So that's another thing that we'll probably have to touch on during the course of this. Is he did improve, but not in position, but just in time. So he's picked up a 10th on the front group there. It's easy to get yourself, maybe qualifying a little over where you probably should be racing at. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well and see if we get anybody that gets caught out of position a little bit.
Here comes a Poborgi across the line. It looked like he had something going there with a couple of purple sectors. I'm not seeing any movement there, though. He might have invalidated that lap, and Stephen Case has broken that 159 flat barrier with a 158.964. And man, oh man, these guys are flying. They're taking advantage of the draft. And at this point, I've got cars all the way down to P12 under 159, and the top 11 cars covered by 1 second, which is pretty impressive at a track of this length. So these guys are ready for their season finale. I'll tell you what. Tell you what else, Charles. If you like a good race, the F4 drivers last night were ready for their finale at Sebring in a big way. So if you enjoy watching this broadcast, when we're done here, go ahead and look on the Slow Motion Broadcasting YouTube channel. Check out that F4 show from Sebring from last night. It was a wild one and an epic race, maybe the best of the season. So these drivers definitely feeling it, that it's time to put on a show here in week 12, and I'm expecting more of the same out of this group.
Yeah, I was just looking at, we were on board there with Josh Snyder and got wide coming through 8. I wonder if they're getting a little bit of understeer there as he was trailing the car in front pretty closely. I wonder if that caused him to understeer a little bit coming through that corner and pushed him wide. So that'll be something else that we have to keep an eye on during this race as we're watching here. Velasco, who is behind Snyder. And we're going to get a replay right here. As you can see, very, very tight behind that car. And I just don't think he turned the car enough. That might have been a little monkey see, monkey do there as both cars go off the track.
Well, and you see him wandering off onto the curbing there on the entry to turn 8, and you got to stay off that. You can't really brake out there. You got to keep it on the asphalt, and that I've seen that cause a lot of spins actually. So that could have been worse right there. But very, very tricky spot right there as you try to open up that entry to turn 8 and get a good run, good entry onto the carousel. And not seeing a lot of improvement right now. Only 4 minutes left, so only a lap or two for most of these drivers right now. It is Case from Eggert, from Poborgi, from Green. Josh Leslie has pushed his way up to P5. Then Conway, Vicroy, Lopez, Bali, and Daniel Lebivy there in P10. And just a couple laps remaining. Of course, if they get across the line before we hit 15:00 on our timer, they get to complete that next lap. So this qualifying could be a little longer. It could run into 16 minutes or so. But things looking pretty stable right now. And looks like Lopez may have stopped for tires. And he is going to have to hustle, Charles. He's going to have to fly on this outlap and then get across that finish line if he's going to benefit from that fresh rubber. And it looks like, looking at my timing board here, it looks like Lopez is the only person who has stopped to try some fresh rubber, and we'll see if he is able to do something with that. He has got only 2 100s to pass Vicroy ahead of him, 3 100s to pass Conway. So if he gets if he gets a 10th out of those new tires, it's going to put him up in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And but he's only going to have about 2 hot laps in order to get that done. So he's going to have to get those tires warmed up pretty quickly and get on the horse, as they say. And so it's going to be fun to watch and see if we get a little alternate strategy here in qualifying that's going to pay off for him. So kind of keep an eye on him and see what happens. As Green just struggling a little bit there, trying to keep the car under control coming through some of those corners.
Yeah, and I saw Oladipo had something going there. His sectors were green all the way across, and that translated into a P2. Oladipo now sitting with a 159.2, about 2/10 behind Case, and he's got Eggert 1/100th behind him. So he just pips Christopher to get up into P2. And we'll keep an eye on our other quick drivers here, and those intervals So tight, Charles. Man, oh man, I now have 17 cars within a 1 second gap here. So these folks have been practicing. They've been getting ready for this one. And Viceroy heard me talking. Viceroy is now the second driver to break under 159, and he is pulled within 1/100th of Stephen Case. So now it's Case from Viceroy, from Oladipo, from Eggert, from Jason Green, and that whole interval from Green up to Stephen Case, 0.27. So action-packed quali here with about a minute and a half remaining. A number of cars are going to be close to making it. If you look at our track map there, I'm figuring the cars entering the carousel right now have a decent crack at getting across the line. So this qualifying is definitely going to go long, and nothing is settled for sure at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just look at the timing tower. Viceroy, 5 milliseconds behind Case for pole, and that's insane. And yeah, you're talking about a quarter second separating 5 cars, and then we've got the top 16 within a second, and the couple cars are just outside of that. So we could see a little more get in there before it's all done. As we're on board here with Jason Cotcher, who is that car that is just hovering outside the 1 second mark. So we'll see if he can make an improvement here on his lap. It doesn't appear so, looking at the qualifying times. He's only got 1 green sector, and I think he's coming in. It's a little bit of a odd entry there, but he's just going to pull the car out and just return to the pits. And how did we get Lopez? How did he end up doing? Does not appear like he improved, but what was his fast lap? That was his fast lap last lap, but he's still sitting in P10 as some other cars have shuffled around. He's a half second back from pole.
Yeah, Lopez was able to improve, and like I said, he only needed a 10th. But as this fuel burns off, everybody around him is getting those little partial tenths and tenths ticked off. As we see Lopez there coming wide out of turn 14. That's another very challenging spot out here, Charles. So critical to time putting the power down right there. Probably the most important corner on the track to get a good run on up the hill on that long straightaway. And it's so deceptive. It looks like a simple, straightforward 90-degree corner, but there's just something tough about it that has been giving me fits for years, and I'm sure I'm not alone at that. As we watch Jason Green set up for that one, there's a little bit of an elevation change. I think there's camber is slightly negative there, so easy to wash to the outside. And like I said, the timing on the throttle so critical. These F3 cars will definitely spin in those low speed corners if you get on the power too soon. And some meatballs piling up there on our timing tower. Not sure what's going on there. There may be some festivities going on off camera that are involving these cars getting bent up, but qualifying definitely winding down here, and maybe a few more cars. I see the 4 car coming around on the map. I see Velasco coming around. There's Snyder going wide again on that turn 14. And so looks like we're pretty stable here in terms of our grid, and we'll have that starting grid up for you here shortly.
Yep, absolutely. As we're winding down here, I think most everybody have crossed the finish line to finish off their final laps. And that looked like the last car that was out there circulating. Maybe there's Neil Day, maybe still out there, maybe just getting a little bit of extra practice before the end of this. And I think that's it for him as well. So yeah, we're getting ready to get this race started, and this obviously we saw a little bit of issue last week with the race start, so that might be something we have to keep an eye on today as people are furiously adjusting their clutch bite points, preparing for this standing start.
Yeah, and the bite point, getting the thing off the line, is challenge number 1, and challenge number 2 is negotiating turn 1. We are going to see some side-by-side activity there into turn 1, probably turn 3 as well. That second hard right-hander. Of course, this is a motorcycle track, so any slight kink in the road counts as a corner. So believe it or not, there is a turn 2 between turn 1 and turn 3 that you see on the left side of our track map there. But these drivers are going to have to definitely be careful, envision the long game, and take a breather here and just get through the first couple corners clean before they start getting crazy. But here is your starting grid. It is going to be Stephen Case in row 1, lined up next to Skylar Viceroy. Then behind them, it's going to be Eggert next to Oladipo. Then Jason Green next to Danush Poborji. Josh Leslie, our current F4 champion, who's moved up to F3 a couple weeks early, will line up in P7 next to Kalen Mikovits. Then it's Conway next to Adrian Lopez. Varun Bali will line up next to Daniel Labivy in row 6. And in the next row, it's Chris Wang next to Justin Snyder. Tyrone De Silva will line up next to Velasco in row 8. Then it's Jason Cotcher next to Adam Duvall. Jose Navas will line up next to Diego Posada in 19 and 20. Then it's Dylan next to Brashear. Cardenas next to Neil Day in 23 and 24. And had a couple practice participants who are not going to take the grid, including Charles Van Wagner and Embriette Hyde was out here doing some laps during practice, and they will not be taking the grid. So as we wait for the timer to run down, looks like iRacing is going to force the start here in about 50 seconds. But that is Stephen Case on the left side of your screen in the red 243. He is going to have the inside run into turn 1. So he's going to want to take advantage of that. Vic Roy will be lined up slightly behind him to his left. And Vic Roy not shy at all. And I would not be surprised at all if Vic Roy gets a good start and wants to try Case around the outside of turn 1. Case has a habit of kind of driving off on these, and the drivers up at the front of the field near him know that if they want to crack at him, they might have one of their only opportunities here off the start. So we'll see what those drivers elect to do. And I managed to blab away for about 30 seconds. So the lights are going to come on here in just a moment. And this is this finale of the inaugural season of Formula 3 racing from Sim Racers Group on SMB. And there are the lights. Here we go as they tick down. And we are green at Road America. Case gets a pretty good start. Case usually get off the line. It's Case from Vic Roy, from Eggert, from Oladipo, from Green. Everybody behaving for the most part. And it's easy for me to say when they're going down the straight, let's see what happens here in turn 1. And really very little shuffling. And just as I say that, I see body parts bouncing down the road and into the kitty litter. So we've lost a couple of cars there. I think Poborji was involved in that. Jason Green, one of our front runners, involved in that. Vic Roy as well. So things have gone ugly in turn 1, and there's another kerfuffle in turn 3. We'll go back and show you all of that. But for right now, it's Case from Eggert. Actually, Eggert is making a move on the inside of Case down here into turn 5, and he is going to get it done and potentially take Oladipo with him. So this opening lap not going well for Case, but it could be worse. You can ask Vic Roy and Jason Green about that. They are both crashed out of turn 1, and we'll show you that momentarily.
Yeah, it was a tough start. Vic Roy got a great run down into 1, and I think actually bumped the back of Case going through the corner and lost his front wing. And of course, that took him off the track. I think it was just maybe after that was just everybody behind checking up and trying to avoid, which usually means there's more problems involved in that as well. But we'll see what happened with Jason Green. And we get that replay here, but Case just a really slow start. As we're getting the replay now, you'll see Vic Roy coming down, and it looks like there's contact right there. And obviously you see him going wide, and you see the cars behind also going wide. That was Green and the 23 car as well of Poborji, and that was the other contact that we saw as they were working their way through 1. Oh yeah, just see that Oladipo came from outside in, right in front of Green, clipped his nose, and then that was the beginning of the end for Green and Poborji as well.
Wow. And normally in racing parlance, chopping somebody's nose off is just a metaphor, but not that time, as Green gets the front of that F3 car completely removed, as you see body parts bouncing through the kitty litter over the fence. And there is a fast repair available. So Green is going to take that long tow 4 miles around Road America to get back into the pits. We'll see if he elects to continue after taking that fast repair. And here is Case now trying to make up for his rough lap 1. He's going to try Oladipo here down the Moraine sweep. He's going to try him on the inside of turn 5. He's got Mikovits snipping around behind. Mikovits may want to try to follow Case. Case has gotten through Oladipo. Oladipo challenging again in that difficult turn 6. But Case has moved up, now has a 0.6 gap ahead to Eggert. And a lot of activity up and down the grid, Charles. Eggert is up 2. Mikovits and Conway up 4. Bali up 5. Alex Velasco up 8. And sitting right now in P9, Jose Navas has moved up 10 positions in just 2 laps. So we'll see if we can sort all of that out for you. But there was a lot going on there on that opening lap.
There was indeed, and Eggert's just basically smiling as he's looking in the mirror. These guys fighting through the corner. That's going to slow both cars down. That's going to give him a chance to get a little stretch out front. So we're going to get another lead play here. This is a 3 wide. On the front straight. Josh Leslie and a couple other cars, and you see just more carnage there as cars are flying all over the track. There's one that was all ejected out. I think that was Posada maybe. As we will say that we'll give you the cars that actually came into the pits after lap 1. Chris Lang, Vic Roy, Tyrone Da Silva, Josh Leslie, Daniel Labivi, Justin Snyder, Diego Posada, Thomas Brashear, and of course Jason Green, who towed.
Wow, that is absolutely brutal. And Leslie had some problems at his first F3 race last week at Laguna Seca, and that is definitely a problem there. We'll be calling the medic for Leslie. And pro tip, kids, if the spotter tells you there's an incident ahead and you see a yellow, that does not mean floor it, which some people have a hard time getting their head around. You see Posada kind of caught out there over the crest of the hill. Don't think there's anything that he could do, but my goodness, what a mess. And look at Stephen Case. He's going to try Eggert on the outside of turn 5, and Eggert says, I don't want nothing to do with that. That was an epic move under braking in a very difficult downhill braking entry to turn 5, and Case shows who's boss and why. Didn't get a great start, got swamped a little bit on the first lap, but gets it back immediately. And on lap 3, he is setting himself up to drive away at his Case from Eckert, from Mikovits, Oladipo, and Conway will line up the top 5. And Case Case again, I mean, showing why he has a stranglehold on P1 with some excellent, not just raw pace, but some excellent racecraft there to make up those 2 positions.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see Eggert forcing his way around the outside, looking for a way around, and it's going to be a position swap, I believe, if he can hang on to it there. Little touch of the gravel that slowed him down just enough to bring Case back alongside. He's going to have to hold off on that move just yet. He'll line back up and try it again down the front straight. And great bit of driving by Case. And it looks like that these guys are going to be in a battle for the entire race.
Yeah, and tip of the hat to Eggert. That's one of my favorite moves, that outside overtake into Canada corner. You get a lot of defense on the inside coming off of that back straightaway, and but that move eminently doable. Here's another place where that outside pass is eminently doable. Turn 1, and again, Eggert just going a little bit too far and hanging one wheel off, or he would have had that one. And Eggert giving Case all that he can handle right now, and hats off to him. He's not afraid of Case. He's not willing to lay down and watch Case drive away. He is staying right with him. Got a 0.2 second gap right now heading down the Moraine sweep again into turn 5, and he's going to have another opportunity here. Case will leave the inside open. Eggert is going to take it down a notch, take a breather, and gather himself for the next attempt. And I think we also just saw Mikovits get past Oladipo, and that'll put Kalen Mikovits up 5. So a ton of movement in the top 10. Let me go through that with you again. Mikovits +5, Conway +4, Bali +5, Velasco +9, and Jose Navas +10. So there are definitely some incidents and problems going on, but that people are taking advantage of. But there's some legit passes going on as well. We'll try to show you what we can, but this has been a crazy start. Only 4 laps in and tons of movement.
Oh, and there's the Justin Snyder. Oh, is this a replay from? Oh, wow, wow. That's 9 times out of 10 you see that caution flag, and by the time you get there, there's nothing left. That 10th time is when there's a car sideways on the track, right dead center, and you're going to be aiming straight at it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's where you see some spectacular crashes like that, seemingly more often than not.
Yeah, and that is tough. And Mike and/or Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, that had to have all happened on lap 2. That was not off of the start. So
No.
that's these cars just trying to drive down the front straightaway, literally, and not able to get that done. So interesting struggle there. And another great, speaking of Mike, great camera work there, showing Eggert testing the outside of turn 1 again. Same result as last time. Eggert kind of hanging it out there, trying to get past Case on the outside, sliding out to the grass and causing him to lose speed. And I'll tell you what, Eggert needs to start thinking about his tires right now. We're 17 minutes left in this one, and if he beats that car like that on every opportunity that presents itself, he's going to run out of tires before this one's over.
Yep, as we see, I believe has a slowdown as we see the yellow flag on the timing tower next to his name. So apparently he cut the corner somewhere, probably around turn 5. There is you can cut it a little too deep on the inside there, or you can carry it out a little too far wide, and you'll get that little slowdown penalty. So he's got to get that cleared, or that's going to turn into a black flag very, very quickly. As we're still on board with Eggert. I was watching him, and he was making up about 1.5 down that straightaway between turn 3 and turn 5. So it looks like he's got to just work his way up. Instead of pushing the issue, maybe turn 1 this time, maybe just close the gap and stay right on Case's transmission back there, and get in that 2/10 area, and maybe have a better chance of making a pass going down in the corner at turn 5.
Yeah, and that's very good advice. And it's easy for us to say, sitting here in the booth, we're not in the car with the adrenaline going, but it very well may be a good time for Eggert just to tuck in behind Case, get some laps ticked down, and save his tires for an attack a little bit later. But Eggert definitely giving Case all that he can handle here. Last time around, Case with a 159.426, Eggert with a 159.427, and this time there's about a 0.3 spread, but Eggert doing a good job staying right with Case. And by the way, look at Mikovits and Oladipo. They are both still hanging in there too. If they keep those F3 cars within about a second, they'll be well within draft range, and there are numerous draft opportunities on this 4-mile track. So a train forming up front, Case from Eggert, from Mikovits, from Oladipo. Then Conway and Bali are kind of flying solo right now. Then for P7, Velasco is leading a train featuring Lopez and Poborgi. So cars starting to train up a little bit here, and we're kind of in the middle part of the race. The start is over. All the crashing is over for the time being. And as I said, it may be time to kind of take a breath here, turn it down a notch, and just get some laps out of the way, and save your equipment for fighting later. And there's Lebivy with that terrible, much more difficult than it should be, turn 14. And that's not the first car we're going to see swap ends right there.
No, probably not. Yeah, that outside corner coming through 14, if you just, you have to be kind of patient with it, as you said, to get the car rotated around. If you get too wide, there's a little bit of runoff out there, and then the next thing you know, you're into some very, very patchy gravel, and just no more grip. That right rear or the left rear tire gets hung out there. Next thing you know, you're around and into the barrier.
Wow, these cars are so good out here. When we had that
Ooh.
little bit of ride along with Eggert, looking forward at Case, I watched my GT3 brake marker go flying by with them not slowing at all. These cars are so good out here. It is scary. And like I said, it's you have to get past a psychological barrier to believe that they can really do what they can do, but they are fantastic out here. And look at Case. He has just thrown down the first 158. That's a 158.991, the fastest lap out there. And Eggert not far behind, only 2/10 behind, but Case starting to stretch that gap out a little bit. He's extended Eggert to about 0.8, and now Eggert has Mikovits nipping around behind him, and Mikovits now showing his nose down the main sweep. He's going to make a run at Eggert into turn 5, side by side through turn 5. Eggert still hanging on. Another wiggle from Eggert as his tires continue to suffer, and Mikovits pushes through to go up into P2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I love the battling there. Mikovits is doing a great job, just keep moving up the ladder. But it cost him about 0.4 of a second on Case, and Case is now, as we see Mikovits go wide through 8, and so he's lost his positions, and that just gives Case another 1.8 gap back to Eggert. So now he's out there by himself, and it's going to be very difficult for these guys to track him down when he's setting fast laps of the race. We'll say I've been kind of watching some of the guys in the back. The Silva and Gregory are basically running leader's pace, but they're obviously had issues early on the start of the race, but they're slowly climbing their way up the ladder. So they're going to pick up a few more spots unless something drastic happens.
And this is Velasco, I think, taking a look inside of Cotcher there, maybe. Apologies, I might have slightly lost track of what was going on there, but back to Mikovits. It looks like Mikovits has fought back. You saw Mikovits wash out of turn 8 into the dirt and allowing Oladipo and Conway through. Somehow he got that back while we were looking at that other fight. Not sure how that was possible, but there is Eggert with Mikovits and Oladipo in tow. All three of those cars separated by only 0.6. And maybe we're going to see here how Mikovits gets through. And that's Conway going wide there. And that causes Eggert to lift. And so that's Eggert leading Mikovits now into turn 14. And by the end of the straight, Mikovits somehow gets by. And are we back live? And these cars are shuffling again. Mikovits is going to fall back down. Now it's Case from Eggert, from Oladipo, from Mikovits. And I'll tell you what, this is shades of last night at Sebring. There was a war up front for the entire race. And I'm telling you, if you didn't see that, watch it later. It was awesome. But 10 minutes remaining. And Charles, this is the kind of scary hour. 10 minutes remaining, 5 minutes remaining. If there's anybody not taking care of their tires, we're going to start to see evidence of that in the very near future.
Yeah, and judging by the battling that's going on track, there's not a lot of cars. There's Bolly going around, and there's that pesky turn 14 again, and that was a meatball. I did see Bolly come in, so he came in taking his fast repair, got his car repaired back out on track, but obviously down in the order, he's down to P15. And he's got Aaron Van Wagner slowly working his way up to him. Victor, he's got through up into 14th, and now he's got a pretty hefty gap to catch up to Dylan. So we'll see what he can do. Looking, Dylan's last lap does not have a time, but Victor has been significantly faster than him during the race.
Wow. And Eggert just completely under assault. We talked about whether Eggert's tires were going to be happy after his relentless assault on Case. Case has driven away, by the way, and Eggert is under attack now from Oladipo and from Mikovits. Oladipo will get through, but look at that gap. Case has driven off to the tune of 3 seconds now. Oladipo has gotten past Eggert, who might have smoked his tires early trying to battle Case, and Eggert starting to fall backwards through the order. Not at all what he wanted when he was battling Case for the lead. He's fallen to P3. He may have a chance to get that back right here, though, now into turn 5. And Mikovits sniffing around, waiting to pick up the pieces, and Mikovits will follow Eggert through. Oladipo back down to P5. And how many times are these cars going to change positions before this one's over?
Yeah, it's. I think it's actually helping just a little bit that if they're able to get the positions swapped on the straightaway, as we saw with Eggert getting by Oladipo that last lap, then they actually make up a little bit of time on Case by nature of just using that draft overspeed to pick up a tenth or two. But it's when they're battling through the corners, it's when they're losing all the time. They lost 7/10 of a second coming through turn 1 last time. Just from battling side by side. So they've got to be very careful. They might have a chance to pick up some time on Case if they do what they've been doing, which is passing on the straightaways. But if they ever get it to a point to where they don't quite get that pass done and over with, and the cars on the other side start battling back, as we're going to see here as they work their way through Bill Mitchell Bend, coming around side by side, that's going to cost them a little bit of time, but Eggert's going to hang on, but it's going to cost them, as I said, another 3/10 just from the battle through those two corners.
Oh my goodness. And you saw Oladipo going wide. Was that the kink? And if you're a fan of Catherine Legg, you know that is not a good place to go wide. And here is Mikovits. He's going to try Eggert now on the inside of turn 1. These cars switching positions on almost every lap. Eggert tries to hang with it, and you see that little wiggle taking that wide line turn 1. It was a little cleaner than a couple of rounds that we've seen Eggert go through there, but Eggert definitely flogging that F3 car within an inch of his life. Mikovits is back through, and now Oladipo may have an opportunity to try his luck down into turn 5, and we'll briefly show you Stephen Case so that he doesn't feel too neglected up there, but he stretched his gap up to 4 seconds, and Eggert there showing how the brakes work on these F3 cars. Stuffs it down the inside of turn 5, but may have overcooked him a little bit there. Another little wiggle.
That's
Oladipo back in front, and was that Case? Did I see the smoldering wreckage of Stephen Case there between 6 and 7? And we'll go back and try to show you what happened there. Oh boy. And that is Mikovits getting turned there by Oladipo, and the stewards are going to be wanting to take a look at that, Charles. And here is Case, no nose, facing the wrong way, busted suspension, and we'll show you what happened here. And I told you that turn 6 is diabolical, and if it can catch out Stephen Case, the best driver in this field, it can catch anybody.
Yep, absolutely. It's a pretty standard affair there, as we see Oladipo makes the dive to the inside, and you see the wheel contact between himself and Mikovits, and we see another car there, a little squirrely coming through 8, as they maybe just got a little scared when you saw a car out there sideways, but managed to get it all wrapped up. And so now it's Eggert versus Oladipo at the front of the field.
And Stephen Case showing a meatball. Look at our timing tower currently running in P10. So he is going to have to come in, and Case's potential to pick up his, what would it have been? A 10th consecutive 8th win and 11th consecutive podium is over. It is over for Case, and tip of the hat to him, though. He has had a hell of a season, and this is probably not going to impact the championship at all. He has it in the bag, but man, oh man, an unforced error, driving by yourself up front through that turn 6. Everybody you know has crashed there at least once, and you saw Case do it there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're seeing now, Mikovits trying to recover a little bit. He's side by side with Lopez coming down turn 5. And so they're going to see if he makes that move around the outside. Not going to do that. He's going to kind of lay back. And so now it's going to be a little bit of patience here as he works his way through 6 and 7. Maybe makes a move down into 8. We'll see if he gets a good run through 7 here. Tricky little corner. It's usually like one of those almost flat corners that you just kind of breathe the throttle a little bit, but he's going to be patient. He's not going to really force the issue against Lopez there, and so he's going to just kind of wait. He'll get the run out of the carousel, and then the run down through the kink and into Canada corner. We'll see if he gets something going there.
Yeah, and I can confirm, Charles, that turn 7 is flat, but that just could just be flat for me because of my bad exit out of turn 6. But I was going through there with no lift earlier today, and here comes Mikovits now wanting to get Lopez back. And you had to think there for a second, did Lopez taking care of his tires allow him to knock Mikovits back? But Mikovits fights back and will regain P4. So it is Eggert up front now after that disaster that befell Stephen Case. It's Eggert from Oladipo from Poborji, and I can look at my notes. It might be the first podium for all 3 of those drivers, with a possible exception of Eggert. I'll check in a minute, but major kind of scramble at the top of this field, which is actually kind of good to see for the finale and give these guys something to fight for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're picking up a replay here of Diego Posada on the inside, coming out of 5, running very, very slowly. Not sure what's going on there. Is he just kind of waiting for traffic to clear? Maybe so. And as we're back on board here with Jason Cotcher, the captain, is just doing a good job running in 7th, staying out of everybody's way, staying out of trouble. Is here with Eggert, still have a 0.3 of a second gap over Oladipo. So Oladipo still hanging in there. They're trying to get away from Poborji with a 2.5 second gap. So not real danger unless they get into contact with each other. It's going to be these 2 guys probably fighting for the win. I think we'll be coming to the white flag next time.
Yeah, coming down to the end of this one, and this one has gone by very quickly. And since I brought it up, I will let you know that Eggert has podiumed twice, P3 at Nürburgring, P3 at Suzuka. Poborji has podiumed once, a P2 at Sebring. So neither of these guys have won, and neither of them have a lot of podiums under their belt. So great to see them up front fighting for the win. And right now it is Eggert from Oladipo, Poborji back about 2.3 seconds. He's not going to threaten. Mikovits back about 5.5 behind Poborji. He's not going to threaten and still has to deal with Lopez all over him. But Charles is right. The white flag is going to come out this time, but it's not going to be collected by Eggert, who is foiled by that turn 14. Oladipo is going to take the white flag and go into turn 1, leading on the last lap. He's got Eggert about 0.6 behind, and then all of a sudden that little error has spread out our front 3 almost a second between each of them. And if Eggert wants a crack at this, he is going to have to pedal. He's going to have to be precise, and he's going to have to do everything perfect from here on out. Oladipo right now enjoying an 0.8 gap right now. It may be enough to get a slight toe here down the Marine sweep down into turn 5. You see that interval dropping a little bit. It's now 0.6. Seems to have steadied off a little bit there, but Oladipo sitting pretty right here. Don't want to jinx him, but he has got this one in the bag if he can just pedal around the rest of this lap safely. So it's Oladipo from Eggert from Poborji, and you see Mikovits there. Lopez has gotten past him again. A great fight between Lopez and Mikovits after Mikovits abused his tires for the first 2/3 of this one. Lopez taking advantage and pushing his way back up into P4.
Yeah, and just for all the iRacers out there that want to race open wheels, just a friendly tip, map. As we see Lopez go around and into the wall there, coming out of 8. I was going to say, just a friendly word of advice: map a tear-off button. So as we're watching this from the driver's eye view, you can see kind of a bit of a haze from the dirt and everything that gets kicked up. It's just always good to have some clear vision, and it helps the broadcast as well.
Wow, and Lopez has stuffed it, leaving Mikovits in the clear. But here comes Oladipo, and another pass going on right now. That is Poborji getting past Eggert, and Eggert must have had some kind of mistake in that final section, or maybe a slowdown. We'll try to show you that, but here we go. It is Oladipo for his first victory of the season in the absence of Stephen Case, and Oladipo, his first podium is in F3 is a win at Road America. Great drive by Oladipo. Poborji will come across in P2 and Eggert in P3. And here comes some more of our finishers. Here's the captain, Jason Cotcher, in P5. That has got to be his best finish in that lovely Porsche 963 inspired livery on that 422 car. Cotcher will be followed across by Velasco, Conway, Navis. Here comes Duvall. Cardenas will come across in P10, and we'll have the rest of the order here for you shortly. But my goodness, what a finale. And here comes Lopez. He says, I don't need no stinking tow truck. I'm going to take P12 with only 3 tires on the ground and no nose. And a nice cooling breeze, imagine, going along with that body configuration. But Lopez not taking a tow there, and I don't see a meatball. So sometimes if you don't come in with a meatball, you get a penalty. But Lopez got away with that one as they continue to come across. Here's De Silva in P16. It'll be followed by Wang and Van Wagner. Here comes Neil Day. Josh Leslie continued after his near fatal crash there on the straightaway. It looks like Lebivy is out with a meatball. Looks like Diego Posada is sitting on a black flag right now as well. So it may be Neil Day, the last runner here on the lead lap, with Brashear coming up behind. So my goodness, what a great season, Charles, this has been. This is the first season of Formula 3. They took the pointy end of the F4 field from last season, brought them up in here into Formula 3, took away their unlimited damage, gave him another 100 horsepower, and let him do battle this season. And it has been awesome thing to watch.
It has been. It's been a fantastic season. I've loved to see the improvement from guys that are just kind of new to the car, that were kind of running in the mid pack. And it seemed like we had some, 2 or 3 really dominant drivers at the beginning of the season. We won't forget Adam Thompson, who was out there early, took a couple of wins off the top. And I do remember Oladipo having a really good run at Imla's that ran into some problems, but really quick, had a really great start off the line, able to keep working his way up, but then got caught up a little bit in some incidents and didn't have the finish that he probably deserved. But he comes back and gets the win here in the last race of the season. And it's been tremendous, and I've loved to see it. I'm happy to have been a part of it, and it's been absolutely great.
Yeah, and good to see Oladipo up front as well as Poborji. And you mentioned Oladipo. He has had pace. He's been hanging around the top 5 pretty much whenever he shows up. I'm not sure he's driven a complete season, so he may have some time constraints that are getting in the way of participating. It is summer in the Bay Area, so there's other stuff to do than sit in your basement in front of a computer. But it's definitely good to see Oladipo getting something done here today. I know he's got a lot of fans watching. I see their comments on YouTube. So congratulations to both Ope and his fans who are cheering him on here at Road America. But there are your final results. It is Ope Oladipo, his first podium, and it is a win at Road America. He'll be followed by Danush Poborji and Christopher Eggert as your podium. Kalen Mikovits and Jason Cotcher will round out the top 5. Then it's Velasco, Conway, Naves, Duvall, and Cardenas to round out the top 10. And then it's Dylan, followed by Lopez, Vicaroy, Bali, Stephen Case after that kind of unforced error in that diabolical turn 6, falls to P15, only his second non-podium out of 12 races. So nothing to hang his head about. Then it's Tyrone De Silva, followed by Wang, Van Wagner, Neil Day, and Josh Leslie after that horrific crash that we saw on lap 2. That was crazy. Still trying to sort that out. We might show a little bit more of that during interviews. We'll see. And then Thomas Brashear, Posada, Lebivy, Snyder, Jason Green will be in P25. And actually Green did not come out. I apologize. And that's Green, Boshell, and Hyde were out for practice and did not participate. So that is your grid. And let me go ahead and take a peek outside, see if there's anybody lingering around to talk with us. And Jason Cotcher, that name rings a bell Charles, but I'll go ahead and bring in Jason, and I'll let you check in with him about tonight's race.
Well, Jason, first, let's talk about the race in general. You had a fantastic race, up 12 positions to finish in 5th overall. Just kept your nose clean and kind of stayed out of trouble, and I think that was the key to it tonight.
Yeah, hey guys, happy Wednesday. How's it going? I love this place. It's fast, it's drafty, it welcomes battles. You know, you draft a bunch of cars into a hard braking corner as it does through turn 5 and Canada corner. There's a lot about staying alive. So I don't know, maybe a poor qualifying did me a favor. If I wasn't in the middle of the fray, I could just dodge bullets. I saw Leslie in the air. I think I saw a piece of Justin go by. I know I dodged Jose. I got 2x, and it was all dodging bullets. I'm surprised it was only that many. So yeah, you know, cooler heads prevail sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about the season overall. I think it's been tremendous. We've saw some really great racing. Obviously, we've got some fantastic drivers at the top of the grid that we saw battle all season long. Adam Thompson, Stephen Case, Skylar Vickroy, Jason Green, and a host of others. Caleb Mikovits and Chris Eggert really improved. But the mid pack in general really improved during the course of the season. It's been fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it's you know, shout out to the community as far as coaching. You know, Skylar has been very helpful. Stephen Case has been really helpful, posting his own tutorials and really taking the time to spend it with you know, new guys just coming on and helping them with their rigs, and you know, anyone that's ever asked him, I think, for some driving advice or some lines or tips and such, he takes the time to do it. And I think Skylar mentioned it previously. You know, how many leagues is it where you're trying to kill the guy, you know, next to you, but then the race is over and you're showing him how to do it better next time? It's really special. And yeah, we were looking at the qualifying results, maybe it was practice results. It was like top 20 was 2 seconds, and I just thought to myself, man, on a drafty circuit, that's just going to start arrow sucking cars together. It was definitely on my mind, but I was having a laugh with my teammate Alex about given last night's F4 race being so fantastic and trading all those positions, and then tonight I look up and half the cars are in the pits on fire. Maybe the admin makes all the F4 drivers F3 drivers next year, and all these knuckleheads crashing into each other all get to F4. It's I mean, I kid, but congratulations to those F4 kids. That was amazing, and it gets elbows out in F3. Everybody's going fast. Everybody knows it's premiere, and hopefully it calms down a little bit as we get more experienced. You know, the whole goal is that it's cleaner and smoother and more professional than the officials. It's tough to make that comment as the admin sometimes if Jason the driver goes from 17th to 5th because it wasn't on pace. So yeah, we're all getting better. We're all learning this car. We'll probably have it all dialed in, hopefully just in time for a new car to come in, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, I get to forget about life for a couple of hours no matter the result, and when it's a good result like this, it's all the better.
There you go. And yeah, so I know I can't speak for JR, but I kind of feel he would say exactly what I'm about to say. As I know from the SMB side of this, we've just absolutely thoroughly enjoyed being able to watch and commentate on these races. And we've enjoyed the season as a whole as we're watching the replays of cars flying over the barriers. It's always fun.
There's some laughing and hooting and hollering in the sim room behind me as well. So it's crazy replays all over the place tonight.
So I know, like I said, we've really enjoyed doing the broadcast and doing the commentary, and look forward to hopefully a great season coming up again. But we'll give you the floor and let you give a thanks and shout outs and talk about your group there.
Yeah, it's I mean, as far as slow motion broadcasting is concerned, you know, being welcomed onto the broadcast and knowing Stevie Ray for the years that I have, I see slow motion broadcasting as a sister company to the Sim Racers group. You guys do a fantastic job. I mean, it's just so special. As everybody has said, I think Jacob said it last night. I know I've said it before, to send the link to friends. You can tell them you're a sim racer. You can say, yeah, I play, high-end race car video games with my friends. And that's the end of the conversation. When they get to watch it, they, like you guys, they feel a part of it. And there's not a whole lot that you have to say after they've watched the race. They're telling you about it. So you guys are incredible, and you're in the budget for the foreseeable future. I want to take this bigger and better and more leagues. I've got plans to take over the sim racing world. We'll see how far I get, but you guys are a huge part of that. Love you guys so much. And lastly, we do the Billy Award for our leagues. Billy was a great guy and a classy racer. We lost him tragically, and so we named an award after him to reward drivers that drove like him. Last night it was awarded to Ken Glasser, and the F3 winner this season is Chris Eggert. I've known Chris for years. He was on the endurance team that I built when I first got into iRacing and sim racing, and I had to elbow him a couple of times to get him to join the F3 league. I beat him in the first F4 race we ever did, and I don't think I've ever beat him again since. So certainly regretting that decision on the standings when the guy drives by you. But Chris is just the nicest guy in the world and really a positive influence, super clean racer. So it's nice. He is up there. He is a front runner in the league. That is not really what it's about. We'll give it to anyone that demonstrates class and respect for fellow racers, and that's really what we're all about here at the Sim Racers Group. So yeah, great season. A short off season. Next week, tune in, my friends. We'll be at Sonoma, and we're testing a new format. Happy to announce we're going to give sprint qualifying a shot, where what was a 1 hour practice will become qualifying, and then a sprint race will set the grid for the feature. So hopefully there'll be more action, more close quarters. Hopefully we'll behave ourselves a little bit better, but yeah, some good work on cold tires, and hopefully everybody gets better and more action and more drama and more close quarter racing. So we're going to give it a shot on Wednesday at Sonoma. Kind of a tough circuit to pass, so hopefully it's not a snooze fest, but if it goes well and the community thinks positively of it, then it might be something new, unique on the slow motion broadcasting if no one else is running that format. So gives guys, kind of a second chance. If you get in the sprint race, you make a move and crash, you start at the back, so it might shuffle the order in the feature. We're gonna have a shot at it, but I think there's a lot of positivity to it, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're growing, and we're super optimistic about the future, and you guys are a huge part of that. So always grateful all the time for you, and thank you very much. Thanks to all the friends and family out there that tune in. We really appreciate the views. That helps me pitch it and sell it, and we're looking for sponsorship out there. So if you know someone that wants their name associated with the Sim Racers Group and slow motion broadcasting, hit me up at info@simracersgroup.com. So as always, guys, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Jason Cotcher. We will see you next week for that test race at Sonoma, and looking forward to it.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
All right, that is Sim Racers Group Jason Cotcher, who moved up 12 positions to finish in P10. And fans of Rafael Cardenas, I was remiss, or I'm sorry, that was P5. Sorry, my timing tower is going wonky over here. But fans of Rafael Cardenas, my apologies for blowing past him when we were doing the results. Cardenas was the hard charger, having moved up 13. But having handled that, Charles, looks like we've got Adam Duvall here, and we can check in with him on how his went race tonight.
Yeah, Adam, congratulations. Good race for you tonight. And obviously lots of drama early on in the race, but seemed like things settled down, and we had us a pretty nice race going on at the end.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely some lap one shenanigans. But, I mean, this place is so fast that you kind of expect it. Luckily, I didn't get too messed up or anything. I think I only had 2 incidents, so I'll take that. And then, yeah, just let everyone fall away around me, and this was definitely a war of attrition, it seemed like.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way to us as well. So obviously we talked about, Road America being a very, very fast track. Is there anything in particular that you maybe struggled with trying to get a handle on during the course of your practice before this race?
Turn 6 always scares me because like if you're not like twitching, you're not fast enough, and your lap time shows it. So that one was something I was worried about. And then what is the right-hander at the end after the kink, the right-hander uphill? That one,
Canada.
like that,
Yep.
yeah, Canada. That one is a big one for lap time too. So just trying to get my inside tires just kissing the gravel on the inside. I think I got it twice out of 13, so I'll take it. But it was a good race. I'll take that. I think this is the highest finish for me in this car. So
Awesome.
I'll
Well,
definitely take it.
that's great. So I'm assuming we will see you next week for our test race at Sonoma. And have you ever put any laps there? And what are your thoughts?
I don't know it that well. I did some laps last weekend. I was down at Jason's Brick and Mortar, so I had some time to kill. So I was like, oh, I might as well try it. I do like it. It's really fun. I'm not that fast, so I'm just gonna be hanging out in the back, hoping lots of carnage happens in front of me again, like this race.
There you go. All right, Adam, we'll let you wrap things up tonight with thanks or shout outs and let you go and celebrate your good result.
Oh, I want to shout out you and JR. You guys are awesome. The broadcast is so professional. It's so cool to show friends and family. It makes the sim racing feel a little more real, if that's possible. So, thanks, guys.
Hey, we appreciate it. You know, you guys are out there pretending to be professional racers, and we're here pretending to be professional broadcasters. So
I like it.
All right, Adam, thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
All right, that was Adam Duvall, and I'm going to look at my phone to make sure I get this correct. Finished in P9, up 9, so a good drive for Adam. And as he mentioned, dodged some flaming barrels there at the beginning. And now, last but not least, in his first podium appearance, turns out to be a P1 at Road America, Ope Oladipo. And Ope, what a drive you put together today. And what was it like fighting up front for 25 solid minutes? And how did you end up on the top step?
Hang on, JR. He popped back up. So let's see if we can get him out here again.
Oh.
Now, there we go. Let's try that.
Hi.
Hey, Ope, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Can I come up with that same question again? What a drive for you. It is your first podium of the season. It is a victory at Road America. And so tell us what it was like dicing up in the front of this field, nonstop action, and how were you able to hang in there, push your way through for the victory?
Honestly, just, right place, right time. Super lucky. I qualified, I think, 4th or 5th. And I did one practice race, and I noticed that, this track, it's just pass or be passed, So if you notice, the first half was just me passing and getting passed and passing and getting passed. You want to try not to fight too much so that you can create a gap so that you don't, just have a passing train. So I think that was the strategy for the first half, was to just give a gap to the next fastest group of people, and then, have the top X people fight amongst themselves, because it's really hard to pull away this track. So, I think Steven was pulling away, which was, Steven, but lucky for the rest of us, we got a chance to, I think Chris, Kaylin, and we got a chance to, fight it out.
Yeah, Case managed to stretch it out to about 5 seconds, and then got caught out under the bridge there in turn 6. It just kind of shows that it can easily get the best of us at diabolical corner there. So this season has wrapped up. I'm not sure that you were able to attend every race, but you've definitely shown some pace. So has this win kind of given you a little extra fire for next season? And are we going to see you out there again in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely. I do have a problem being consistent because I'm pretty busy, but I think this win has been, pretty encouraging to get out there and, just hang out with the guys on track and just have fun.
Yeah, excellent. And that seems to be the name of the game down at Sim Racers Group. So really great to hear from you. And again, congratulations on your first podium in F3. Congratulations on your first victory, and congratulations on an outstanding drive. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Once again, thanks, Jason, for putting this together. It's really cool to have local people to race against. And shout out to my YouTube channel, Track Day Diaries, where I talk about my Corvette and what I'm doing to it and how to get faster on a real life track.
All right, I forgot about your C8. So how's that thing going?
It's awesome. I'm going to be at Grid Life Time Attack September. I guess it is already September, so end of this month. So looking forward to that.
Wow, where's that?
ZR1 win?
One time?
I said ZR1 win.
Z06 win, baby steps.
Oh, God, there you go.
Nice. And where is the time attack going to be?
This is at Laguna Seca.
Nice. Oh, wow. That sounds like an absolute right. And go ahead and shout out your YouTube channel again in case some people want to tune in and check out what you've done to that Corvette.
Track Day Diaries. So
Track Day Diaries on YouTube. So definitely check that out. If you haven't heard an angry C8 Corvette with that 180-degree crank out on the racetrack, you're missing something. So check it out. And Ope, congratulations again. Thanks for stopping by. And we look forward to both checking out your Corvette at Laguna Seca and seeing you on track next season.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, and that was your winner, Ope Oladipo, and that is going to conclude the inaugural season of Formula 3 racing from Sim Racers Group here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But the week is young, and we have got more upcoming. So this Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will visit Donington Park in the UK. Then Ron's Race Nights will return here to Elkhart Lake for iRacing official top split action in Formula C. I think the same cars that you saw here tonight and Sunday kicks off a Weekend Warriors double feature as Spec Racer Fords throw down at Navarra. Formula Fords will battle at Donington Park. And I should also mention, Mike, I think you've got another slide for me. There we go. We've got the FROC, the Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge. And if you always thought it sounded like a good idea to get a Ferrari GT3 car and put it on an oval, you've come to the right place. This is brought to you, I think, by Extreme Motorsports. There are still slots available if you want to participate. You see the 3 classes there, and this will start up, I believe, in about 3 weeks. No date on the slide, but it's right around the corner. So look up XMS, Extreme Motorsports, the FROC Challenge if you want to have a single make Feifei battles here in the fall, and it's guaranteed to be fun, and it's going to be broadcast here on SMB. So I am JR Gregory. Thank you again for joining us for the season finale of F3, and on behalf of myself, my partner Charles Boshell, our producer Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are, and hang on, baby, as we watch that crash again. Thanks, Mike. Hang on, baby. Friday is coming.